My name's Elliot Reyes. I'm 38. I live in Seattle. I'm a pianist, a composer. I write music for film, TV, and sometimes stage. For a long time, I thought I had life figured out. Deadline stress. No sleep. Yeah, that's just the deal. It's part of the job. Part of being creative, productive driven, or so I thought. I told myself I could handle it, that I was built for it. At one point, I had 3 film scores happening at the same time. I was working around the clock studio sessions during the day, rehearsals at night, gigs on weekends, and still trying to be a dad, a husband, trying to be present at home when my mind was burning out. Some nights I forgot to eat. Most nights I didn't sleep, but I kept telling myself, just get through this week, then you'll rest. Thing is, I didn't make it to that break. Here's something we don't talk about enough. Your brain, it runs the show. Every thought, every emotion, every decision, it all starts there. Your sense of self, your memories, your impulses. That's all brain. And most of it, you don't even realize it's happening. There's a massive part of what your brain is doing that you're completely unaware of. And yet, we walk around thinking we're in control. That night proved to me I wasn't. It was a Friday. Cold. Fog thick as hell. I'd just finished playing at this small jazz club downtown. Nothing fancy, low lighting, smell of whiskey, half-distracted crowd. I packed up. My hands were shaking. Chest felt tight, like something was pressing down on me. Still, I walked to my car, turned on some Coltrane to stay awake, and told myself, "You're fine. Just get home." But I never made it. They said I drove straight into a concrete barrier. No brakes, no swerve, just impact. Like my body gave up before my mind even knew what was happening. I was in a coma for 21 days. Traumatic brain injury, frontal lobe, temporal lobe, both sides. They didn't know if I'd wake up, and if I did, they didn't know who I'd be. The worst part, I did wake up, but I wasn't me. I couldn't remember the last song I played. I couldn't move my left hand. I couldn't even tell you what month it was. People talked to me, but their words felt like static. My brain was quiet in the wrong places, loud in others. Nothing made sense. If you've ever opened your eyes and felt like a stranger in your own life, if you've ever sat in silence trying to remember your child's name, or felt your body move like it belongs to someone else, then you already know what kind of hell I was waking up to. And if you don't sit tight, let me tell you what it's like when the thing that makes you stops working. Waking up from the coma wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something I couldn't explain. My body was healing slowly, but me, I didn't feel like I'd come back. At first, it was just confusion. I couldn't remember what day it was. I'd forget names. My own thoughts felt foreign, like I was watching my life through someone else's eyes. But soon, it wasn't just memory. It was behavior. There were nights I'd sit at the piano for hours playing full pieces, and the next morning I'd have zero memory of touching the keys. My wife showed me videos I'd recorded in the middle of the night, me talking, rambling, sometimes smiling, sometimes crying, sometimes just staring into the camera. I didn't remember filming them. I didn't recognize the person in them. Another time, I woke up outside my apartment barefoot in the hallway. The door was still locked from the inside. No keys, no phone, nothing. I looked at my hands and thought, how the hell did I get here? It wasn't just scary. It was disorienting, like my body was moving, living without me. And then came the dreams. Or maybe they weren't dreams, I don't know anymore. It's always the same place. A city I've never seen in real life, but in my sleep, it feels like home. Every street is familiar. Every corner feels lived in. I wake up missing it, more than I miss waking life. I started painting. Me, a guy who's never painted in his life, suddenly filling notebooks with sketches, shapes, poetry, all at night, all unconscious. Sometimes I'd wake up with charcoal on my fingers and no memory of picking up a pencil. That's when the question started haunting me. Who's doing all of this, if not me? I brought it up to my neurologist. She didn't even flinch. She said, "Elliot, your brain isn't just one thing. It's not a captain steering a ship. It's a network 90 billion neurons doing their own thing. You're not always in control. Most of the time, no one is." That stuck with me. No one is. So who or what is driving? You see, most of us walk around thinking we're the ones making decisions, that we act with intention, with awareness. But the truth, so much of what we do is just pattern, unconscious habit, brain doing what it knows how to do with or without you. That's why sleepwalking is so terrifying. It's not just walking while asleep. It's proof that your body can function perfectly without your mind being online. People have painted walls, cooked meals, even driven cars while completely unconscious. So, what happens when that becomes your waking life? The line between me and not me started to blur. I'd watch myself doing things I didn't remember starting, saying things I didn't mean, reacting with emotions I couldn't trace. And every time it happened, I felt further and further from myself. Until one night, I said it out loud, like it slipped from somewhere deep inside me. I don't think I'm me anymore.
I don't think I'm me anymore.
And if you've ever felt like that, like you're watching someone else live your life, you already know how terrifying that is. And if you haven't, let me take you further, because losing control is just the beginning. After the accident, I thought the worst part would be physical learning how to walk again, the headaches, the meds. But nothing prepared me for the feeling of waking up and not knowing who the hell I was anymore. It started small. I'd find random sketches in my notebook, things I didn't remember drawing. Sometimes poems, sometimes just shapes and symbols that made no sense. At first I laughed it off.
These must be mine.
Okay, maybe I doodled half asleep, I told myself. But then came the videos. I found dozens of clips on my phone, me talking, me explaining weird theories about consciousness and art and God knows what. I had no memory of recording any of them. Nights blurred into days. I'd wake up with charcoal on my fingers or piano keys still warm. Whole songs played lyrics written, but I wasn't there for any of it. I mean, I was, physically, but mentally, emotionally, I was gone. One night, I woke up in the hallway of my building, barefoot, door locked from the inside. It felt like I'd been hijacked by someone using my body like a puppet. I remember standing there shaking, whispering, "Who's in here with me?" I started spiraling, crippling depression, no motivation to eat, to live, to even talk. There were days I looked in the mirror and couldn't recognize the person staring back. And the dreams. I kept dreaming about this same city over and over, a place I'd never seen in real life, but somehow it felt like home. Streets I could navigate with my eyes closed. People I didn't know, but felt deeply connected to. It was haunting, and yet weirdly comforting. Desperate for answers, I started diving into neuroscience videos late at night. That's when I stumbled onto Your Brain, Who's in Control. What I learned there cracked something wide open inside me. Dr. Emmanuel. During explained Mong-Du sleepwalking not as a disorder, but as a glitch in the system. Part of the brain is asleep, while other parts wake up and take over. That's what I felt like a sleepwalker inside my own life. He talked about how during sleepwalking, your motor cortex can function, so you can walk, open doors, paint, even cook. But your prefrontal cortex, the you part of your brain, the decision maker, is shut off. Which means you can do things without really being there. One patient painted a perfect triangle on her wall, had no idea she'd done it, and I thought, yeah, been there. Then came the split brain studies. Patients whose left and right hemispheres couldn't communicate. One side could speak, the other could draw. They'd be shown a word on one side of their vision and say they didn't see anything, but then draw it perfectly with the opposite hand. I watched jaw dropped as a man denied seeing the word Texas, but then drew a cowboy hat. He didn't know why, he just did it. And suddenly, all those nights I was writing, creating while not present, they made sense. Maybe I wasn't broken. Maybe my brain was just rerouting. Parts of me working in parallel, trying to survive, trying to speak. That's when the question shifted, from what the hell is wrong with me, to if I'm not the one in control, then who is that question haunted me. But it also opened the door to healing, and that's where the next part of the journey began. After the accident, it wasn't just memory loss. It was like my whole sense of me fell apart. I'd wake up not knowing where I was. Sometimes I'd sit and stare at a wall for hours, not sad, not thinking, just blank. And the scariest part, I didn't even know it was happening. The doctors called it mild traumatic brain injury, MTBI, mixed with a bit of identity disturbance and depersonalization. To me, it felt like my soul got unplugged. Recovery didn't come in a dramatic movie montage. It came in tiny, slow, frustrating steps. But here's what actually helped me for real. Let's start with the basics: sleep. Yeah, I know. Everyone says, get more sleep. But after brain trauma, sleep isn't just rest, it's survival. So I had to teach my brain how to sleep again. They call it sleep hygiene, and honestly, it changed everything. No screens an hour before bed. No caffeine after 2 p.m. Same bedtime every single day, even weekends. 5-minute breathing meditations before bed. I even set up a lamp with red light only at night. Sounds small, but it signals to your brain, hey, we're safe now. I still had nights where I'd wake up standing in the hallway with no idea how I got there. But slowly those nights became rare. When your prefrontal cortex is injured, the part that says, this is me and this is safe, even basic things like sleep can go sideways. Rebuilding that meant going back to the ground floor. Memory was a mess. So was emotional control. I couldn't name what I was feeling, I just felt either everything or nothing. So I started CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. At first I hated it, then it started to click. Every morning I'd write, where am I right now? What am I feeling? Be specific: anger, fear, foggy. What do I think about myself in this moment? Over time, that daily check-in became my emotional GPS. I wasn't writing for the sake of writing. I was rebuilding my autobiographical self, the part of your brain that ties memory plus identity plus meaning into one coherent story. When you can name it, you can tame it. That line saved me more than once. When I couldn't explain what was happening, I painted. When words failed, I played the piano. When my memory felt fractured, I wrote poetry. Not to be creative, just to survive. Here's the science behind it. Music activates the brain globally: movement, memory, language, emotion. Drawing, shall painting, helps reconnect the two brain hemispheres, great for when logic and feeling are out of sync. Poetry sparks the hippocampus, the long-term memory center, often damaged in TBI. Some days I'd find a song I played and go, wait, I don't even remember playing that. But that didn't matter. My fingers remembered. My brain was still working, just in a different language. I joined a few online TBI and PTSD support groups. Let me tell you, that was a game changer. Someone once posted, last night, I sat talking to the me in the mirror for an hour. I know that sounds insane, but it didn't feel insane at the time. And I thought, holy crap, that's me too. In those spaces, I didn't have to explain why I forgot my own phone number or why I cried after hearing a doorbell. They just got it. We shared tips, breathwork videos, memory games, even jokes about brain fog. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel broken. I felt human again. I started watching neuroscience docs, especially Your Brain Who's in Control, PBS Nova. That's where I learned there is no single you in your brain. Different brain regions control different things: movement, language, emotion, memory. They work together, but not always smoothly after trauma. One study that shook me, researchers gave mice a scent almond with a shock. Later, their baby mice were born with a fear response to almond scent. That trauma got passed through epigenetics, literally pain stored in genes. And I thought, maybe what I'm feeling isn't just mine. Maybe my brain isn't damaged. Maybe it's reorganizing. I started tracking everything. The day I remembered how to tie my shoes. A voice memo of the first full sentence I said after a memory lapse. A selfie of me outside alone, without anxiety. Not for social media, just to prove to myself I'm still here. I'm getting better. There's no back to normal after brain trauma. There's only forward. I used to think healing meant becoming the old me again. Now I know I didn't lose myself. I expanded. I have new pathways now, new perspectives, a deeper capacity for compassion, and a stronger respect for the mystery that is the human brain. You don't come out of a brain injury as the same person. You come out as someone more awake, more layered, more alive. And that isn't a tragedy. It's a transformation. Brain recovery story. You know, after all this, the therapy, the music, the blank stares into walls, the nights lost in sleepwalking, something shifted. For a long time, I kept chasing the old me, the version of Elliot who had it together, who could crank out scores in his sleep, who didn't forget his kid's birthday or randomly wake up in the hallway. I thought healing meant going back to him. But that guy's gone. And honestly, that's okay. Because what I've learned slowly, painfully, is that growth after crisis doesn't look like a return. It looks like expansion. I've stopped trying to get back to who I was. Now I'm learning to live alongside all the versions of me that showed up after the trauma, the silent one who stares into space, the one who wakes up painting, the one who needs to cry in the shower before breakfast, and the one who still plays piano with something raw and new inside his fingers. These versions aren't flaws. They're not broken. They're me, just layered. And instead of fighting them, I've learned to talk to them. Through music, through meditation, through therapy, through creating. Each tool became a language, a bridge between parts of my mind that didn't always speak to each other. To anyone out there feeling split lost or like your soul got scrambled, you are not broken. You're just operating a more complicated system now, and that system might just be your superpower. Here's what I believe now: I'm not back to normal. I'm somewhere new. I'm not the same. I'm not who I used to be. I've become something more complex, more honest. And if there are many versions of me inside my head, maybe that's exactly how wholeness is supposed to feel. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, if you saw a piece of yourself in it, I'd love for you to check out the channel, The Truth MD. It's where stories like this live. It's where science meets soul. And maybe, just maybe, it's where you'll find a version of your truth too.